Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When I was much younger, there were some rumors that the Russians have a very, very sophisticated jamming system, and even the Soviets had it. According to this information that I had at that time, the Soviets, then the Russians, claimed that they could jam the Romanian at that time military about 400 kilometers inside Romania. So that would be almost the whole territory. That's how deep they could penetrate. And some people were skeptical about it. Some people said, yeah, that's true. Now here is an article coming from Business Insider. And this is reported by the Americans, by the Ukrainians, obviously, that the Russians indeed possess a very sophisticated and very effective means of jamming the communication, the radars, and other tools that these guys would use in order to fight the war against the Russians. So let's watch, actually not watch, but let's read this little article from Business Insider and see what they say. They sound alarming in the tone. That is very strange, coming from Business Insider. Business Insider: Russia's electronic warriors are intercepting Ukrainian troops' communications and jamming their GPS-guided bombs, experts say. Now, I don't know how these guys are even coming up with this. I'm very, very, very impressed, surprised, because they would keep their mouths shut whenever, the Russians would achieve something or would be good at. So if they say this, that means it's multiplied by 3 in its impact. So electronic warfare is a pervasive, if less visible, of the fighting between Russia and Ukraine. Russia, in particular, has waged a major electronic warfare campaign against Ukrainian forces. Russian jamming seems to be affecting Ukraine's communications and US-provided weapons. Wow! So the US is not invincible as some tell us. That's why they don't want to send F-16s and others, but let them send them. Russian jamming has become so effective that Ukraine, as well as the US and NATO, can no longer assume that joint direct attack ammunition, glide bombs, and other smart weapons will hit their targets. I think they reported something like this a while ago, maybe 2 months ago, something similar. That's the conclusion of an anal list by Britain's Royal United Services Institute. And I'm quoting: jamming is not causing the JDAMs to stop working, but it is risking their accuracy, end quote, according to RUSI researcher Thomas Withington. While anti-jamming upgrades to JDAM may mitigate the problem, Russian electronic warfare systems can simply drown out the GPS guidance signal from satellites. And I'm quoting: the problem may well be the sheer power of the jamming signal that can be brought to bear, Withington said, not Washington though. The warning comes after Pentagon documents leaked in April, I remember they said something like this, revealed concerns that Russian jamming was reducing the accuracy of American guided weapons, including JDAM, as well as HIMARS rockets. The effect on JDAM is particularly significant, as it is arguably the simplest and most cost-effective smart bomb. By attacking fins and a GPS-guided system to cheap, old-fashioned dumb bombs, Ukraine could produce long-range guided weapons at a fraction of the cost of special precision guided munition that are in short supply. The JDAM extended range bombs sent to Ukraine reportedly have a range of up to 50 miles, allowing launch aircraft to remain safely out of range of Russian air defenses. The GPS-guided munition initially offered Ukraine hope of offsetting Russian superiority in manpower and weapons. Indeed, HIMARS proved crucial in Ukraine's limited counteroffensive in summer 2022. as rockets devastated Russian headquarters and supply dumps. That Russia is developing countermeasures shouldn't be surprising. All weapons eventually lose some effectiveness as the enemy adapts. Correct, I made a video about that, I think 2 days ago. Nor it is a secret that the Russian military, like its Soviet predecessor, devoted great effort to developing a variety of electronic warfare systems. In particular, Whittington pointed to the Russian Army R-330ZH ZTEL, a mobile truck-mounted jamming system specifically designed to disrupt GPS and satellite communications in the 100 MHz to 2 GHz wave bands. And I'm quoting, "Signals from the US GPS satellites with JDAM kits are transmitted on wave bands from one." I don't think that's important here, it's too complicated for us. According to Whittington, these fall square within the R330ZH catchment area. So that means the Russians have the right wavelength to or wave bands to offset these guys' transmissions. Worthington, oh, now it's Worthington, it was Worthington, what the hell? Worthington, it was me then, claims to have seen official documents that put the R blah 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 range at 18.6 miles. So that means they can't come, I mean, I don't know if 18 is a lot, maybe these guys are telling us. This is, and I'm quoting, notably stronger than the strength of the GPS signal arriving from space, he noted. Moreover, the closer the GPS receiver is to the R330 jamming antenna, the stronger jamming signal becomes. So, Russia could also intercept M-code signals and retransmit them with slight alteration to a JDAM, causing the bump to miss. Efforts to bypass Russian interference by using signals from multiple GPS satellites could in turn be countered by employing multiple jammers. Russia's counter-GPS efforts are part of the massive electronic warfare campaign that has also disrupted Ukrainian radio communications and drone operations. Russian forces now, and I'm quoting, now employ approximately one major EW system per 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles or frontage, usually situated approximately 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles from the front line, according to a recent RUSI report on Russian tactics. The jamming has contributed to a Ukrainian drone loss rate that RUSI estimate to be as high as 10,000 USVs per month. Well, it's the first time when I hear all these losses coming from the other side. If the Russians would tell us this, we'd be like, come on, these guys are lying. So, according to the RUSI report, Russian EV troops are also highly capable at intercepting and decrypting Ukrainian radio communications. In one case, they appear to intercept and decode an encrypted radio message from Ukrainian troops calling in a fire mission in real time, allowing Russian commander to send preemptive warning to their units. Nonetheless, Russian electronic warfare has limitations. Emitting jamming beams discloses the jammer's location, and Ukraine appears to have located and destroyed Russian systems such as R330ZH. Ironically, smoothing the airwaves with powerful jamming beams may also be disrupting Russia's GPS and radio communications. Oh my! So it's a war between wave beams, wavelengths, interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know. I think this, for me, it closes the case on the Russian capability. I remember a while ago. How far behind was that? How far back? Maybe 5 years, 7 years, 5 or 7 years. I watched a video where they said, the person over there claimed, and I didn't put it to my heart or to my brain. I memorized it, but because the source he was using was not something that I never heard. I mean, I never heard of. So I said, I checked it out, and it was shady. They said that it was British spy plane going towards Russia, Crimea, and was jammed, that almost lost control and turned around, and they could not come closer. That's why supposedly they use those drones, and then blah blah blah. But it was about 7 years ago or so, because the same author, the same person who gave this information, also said at that time that Putin warned supposedly Saudi Arabia at that time. This is unconfirmed. It was just I'm just sharing with you what that piece of information was. I don't think it was 7 years ago. This one, it was like 4 years ago or so, and Putin said that if Saudi Arabia, no, if the guys in the Caucasus, the same guys they tried to do what they did in South Ossetia and what was the other one? Where what's his name? Chechnya, where there were a lot of people coming from outside fighting over there. Supposedly, Putin warned Saudi Arabia that they will use nuclear weapons. I didn't believe that, because you see here he's not using nuclear weapons when things are, I would say, more complicated than the Chechnya, whatever it was over there. Nevertheless, this is a confirmation, and definitely right now their abilities are superior to the ones that I knew then when I first heard about their capabilities. But on the other hand, as this guy correctly points out, you adapt. So you have to always, it's an active change of what are these guys doing. They smash you for a few months, and then you figure out what happened, and then you counter it, and then they have to adapt to yours, and so on. Well, that's the way it is. Thank you very much for being with me again today. They sounded alarming, like, oh my God, what are the Russians doing? So I'm surprised they mentioned that the Russians are capable of jamming the Americans, whatever they have over there, HIMARS and other rockets, missiles, smart bombs. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.